Welcome to the Horror Next Door. This is our favorite new horror trailers for August 2023. If you like this video, would you kindly subscribe?
Rebirth. A morgue technician successfully reanimates the body of a little girl, but to keep her breathing, she will need to harvest biological materials from pregnant women. When the girl's mother, a nurse, discovers her baby alive, they enter into a deal that forces them both down a dark path of no return.
Rebirth releases August 18th on Shudder.
This is some Reanimator kind of ish, and I love that movie. Obviously, it also looks a lot less crazy than that. It seems much more realistic, which is extremely disturbing. From what I can tell in the trailer, it seems like the morgue technician has good intentions, but who frickin' knows? I want to know, and that's the point. This trailer is intriguing, so I'm looking forward to finding out more about her motivations, what exactly her crazy methods are to bring deceased beings back to life. I didn't see any green serum, so looking forward to finding out what's up.
So this movie is just very intriguing to me. The whole concept of bringing people back from the dead and that whole, situation just seems really interesting to me. They show enough in the trailer to kind of get the gist of what's going to happen, but then they obviously don't show you anything that happens after that. So I'm really curious where it's all going to go. Is this undead little girl going to go crazy or something? Where is this going to go? It could go in a path that makes me not like the movie and really makes me think the movie's kind of dumb, or it could go in a really awesome path and it could very well be a great film. So the trailer has really got me interested. I really can't wait to check this one out. A lot of good trailers this month, in my opinion.
The Passenger. A man is forced to face his fears and confront his troubled past. He must find a way to survive when his coworker snaps and goes on a violent killing spree.
The Passenger is directed by Carter Smith, who directed The Ruins, and stars Kyle Gallner, who you might remember from the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, and Jennifer's Body. The Passenger releases August 4th on MGM+, which I never even heard of.
Well, simply put, this looks wild. What can I say? I'm extremely curious about all of the different things that are going to happen. There are lots of quick cuts in this. Kyle Gallner's character looks completely unhinged, so I have a feeling the film's going to be very unpredictable, and I like that. Predictable is boring. I also appreciate that there's something original happening here. It's kind of hard to come across things that aren't remakes or copies of each other these days. This looks pretty thrilling, and I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out.
When I first watched this trailer, I didn't really think this was a straight up horror film, but both IMDb and Letterboxd has it listed as horror, so whatever, it's horror, we're going to talk about it. I think this movie looks really good. Again, I guess I am a secret Kyle Gallner fan. I think he looks great in this. He's playing this role perfectly. I'm really curious how this is all going to play out with him befriending the guy that he works with that he was going to kill in this shooting that apparently takes place in the film. They're going around together. I'm not exactly sure what they're doing. It just says that he's forcing the other guy to face his fears and confront his troubled past. So really interested to see what that entails. I just feel like this movie is going to be disturbing, but on a completely different level. That's just my theory, just as what I took from this trailer, but cannot wait to see this.
The Exorcist Believer. When his daughter and her friends show signs of demonic possession, it unleashes a chain of events that forces a single father to confront the nadir of evil. Terrified and desperate, he seeks out the only person alive who's witnessed anything like it before.
The Exorcist Believer is directed by David Gordon Green, who directed the new Blumhouse Halloween trilogy, and releases October 13th in theaters.
At the beginning of this trailer, I basically was just thinking about how almost everything that played off or came out as a sequel or prequel or whatever to anything related to the original Exorcist really hasn't been very good. I will admit that I've never actually watched The Exorcist 2 or The Exorcist 3 in their entirety, so I definitely need to do that before I step on any toes. At the beginning of the trailer, I was still irritated. I didn't think it looked good at all. I thought it seemed kind of annoying. It was probably about halfway mark or so, I guess, when one of the girls is walking down the middle of the aisle in church in a dress drenched in blood, saying creepy stuff that I was like, wait a minute, this might be awesome. And from there, the trailer was awesome. I mean, it's definitely got me interested in seeing this, whereas before, when I first heard they were doing another Exorcist movie, I just thought, oh, no, why? I mean, the original film is so good. It's so classic. It's so iconic. After seeing the entire trailer and some of the creepy ass stuff that's going on and being said, I definitely want to see this. I have to admit that some of the changes that they made are pretty cool. I'm excited that there's something original about it. I think the fact that the girls go out somewhere and something happens to them, they lose track of time. It's almost like they were in a fugue state or something. And yes, I only know that term because of Breaking Bad. Thank you.
You're goddamn right.
It's also cool that there's more than one of them. I don't know. It looks freaky, and I really hope I don't get let down or disappointed when I actually finally see it.
So I have to admit up front that I am not really the biggest fan of the original Exorcist. I saw it in the theaters when it released somewhere in the early to mid 2000s. They did some kind of re-release. I think that was the first time I'd ever seen it. So seeing it for the first time in the theater, I don't know. It didn't really do anything for me personally. Maybe I need to watch it again. It's been a very long time since I've seen it, so maybe watching it again will change my mind. So hearing about this new trilogy, I wasn't very interested. I was like, whatever. And then David Gordon Green was attached to it. I really enjoyed Halloween 2018, but Kills was a little lacking, and I'm not even going to talk about Ends. We all know about that. The first thing I saw from this was the poster that was released a few weeks ago, and honestly, I have to admit, I think that poster was pretty badass. It kind of got me hyped to see what the trailer was all about. So now that I've seen the trailer, I have to admit, not being a fan of the original, I'm actually interested in seeing this. Hopefully, it turns out to be good. It's not a Halloween Ends situation. I think I'm interested enough in this that I probably would actually see this in the theaters. I wouldn't just hold off for streaming or anything like that. It's coming out on October 13th in theaters, which is obviously Friday the 13th. I wish it was a Friday the 13th film. It is what it is. But this movie looks pretty damn good.
Saw X. John Kramer is back. Set between the events of Saw 1 and 2, a sick and desperate John travels to Mexico for a risky and experimental medical procedure in hopes of a miracle cure for his cancer, only to discover the entire operation is a scam. Armed with a newfound purpose, the infamous serial killer returns to his work, turning the tables on the con artist in his signature way, using devious, deranged, and ingenious traps.
Saw X is directed by Kevin Grudert, who directed Saw 6 and Saw 7. He was also an editor on Saws 1 through 5. I'm not sure if he did any of the other ones, but I know off the top of my head he did 1 through 5. Saw X stars Tobin Bell, who you might know as Jigsaw himself, and Shawnee Smith back as Amanda Young. Haven't seen her in a Saw film since 6. So glad to see her back. Saw X releases September 29th in theaters.
Well, what can I say? I've always been a fan of the Saw series from the get-go. When the first film came out in the theater, I went and saw it, I believe, 2 nights in a row, if I recall correctly. I know a lot of people dislike the sequels. The more they go on, the more people seem to complain, but I have never gotten sick of the Saw series. Yes, there may be a couple of films that I'm not a huge fan of, especially Spiral, but there's always something about a Saw film that, as weird as it may sound, is comforting to me. Really can't believe we're up to 10 already, but I am not complaining. I'm excited Tobin Bell is back. I think it's cool that we're jumping back in time a little bit again because you have no idea what characters could randomly pop up. It'll be a fun little surprise, so hopefully I can avoid spoilers. I just think based on what they've shown in the trailer here, as far as traps and his motivation and everything go, that I'm still going to be enjoying the Saw franchise. Again, the last entry was definitely not my favorite thing, not even just as a Saw movie, but just as a movie as a whole. I was really not a huge fan of Spiral, so no matter what, I think this is going to be a step up. Again, just hoping I'm not too excited and I don't get let down. We shall see, because I definitely want to play that game. I'm so corny. Oh my God, but I do. Let's play.
So where to begin on this one? I think I'd like to start by saying that Spiral was a huge disappointment for me. I am a huge Saw fan. I wasn't the biggest fan of Jigsaw, but Spiral, in my opinion, was so disappointing that I have a whole new appreciation for the Jigsaw film, Saw 8, if you will. I will say this, I am so glad that the name Saw is back as the title. I was actually very skeptical that they were going to keep the X in the title. Obviously, being a Friday the 13th fan, Jason X is one of the movies in the series, and I just always thought it would be so cool if Saw 10 was just called Saw X. Do it, keep it, no subtitles, no stupid shit. Saw X. And I was very worried that they were going to change it. I thought they were going to call it Saw, Resurrection or some stupid shit like that. I'm just so glad that they kept Saw X, simple title, put that big X on there, call it a day. So I think it's really interesting that this movie takes place between Saws 1 and 2. Obviously, there is a lot of stuff that happened before the events of Saw 1. The fact that this does take place between Saw 1 and 2, there's actually a lot of characters that are still alive that could pop up. Technically, Mark Hoffman is still alive. He was one of his apprentices that was there. So I'm not sure if he's going to pop up in this movie or not, but it'd be really freaking cool if he did. Also, because this takes place after Saw 1, technically Dr. Gordon is there somewhere. I would think it would be really cool if this movie did somehow end with the setup of Saw 2, with Detective Matthews showing up at the warehouse or something like that. Like, that'd be a really cool way to end it, to kind of have it tie right into Saw 2. Like, you can just go put in Saw 2 now and continue the story. So it does make me wonder what the twist is going to be. All these movies usually have a twist. I'm hoping that this twist is something that really makes your jaw drop, because the twist at the end of Jigsaw wasn't really all that great. The twist at the end of Spiral, So we haven't really had a decent twist since Saw 7. I'm glad to see that Shawnee Smith is back and Tobin Bell is back. It sounds like Tobin Bell is going to be the main focus of this movie. Usually he's only in minutes of the film, so it's going to be cool if he's more in this movie. There is a single shot where we get to see the iconic bathroom from the first Saw, and it's on the screen for a very short time. I'm not sure who is in this frame. All we see is legs. You got somebody that looks like they're hanging from the ceiling. You got somebody walking in the background, and then we have some legs over in the corner that are probably Adam. Rest in peace, Adam. But I'm glad to see the bathroom. I'm hoping that it's a plot point of some kind. It's not just thrown in there for the sake of throwing it in there. I hope either it's part of the twist at the end, or there's a revealing flashback of some kind that includes this bathroom. I really love just everything about the bathroom. I remember seeing Saw 2 in the theaters, and at the very end, when the bathroom came up, it was like, oh shit. So obviously we have a bunch of new traps. I'm not going to go over all of them, but the one that I will mention that really just looks nasty is the one where it's breaking all the person's fingers. That would totally suck. I mean, even if you get out of that, your fingers are all broken. So this, for me, for sure, is a 100% guaranteed gonna watch this in the theater the opening weekend. Be sure that you're subscribed, because our October What We Watched video, we will definitely be talking about Saw X for sure. I'm guaranteeing it's gonna be in there. But I cannot wait to see this movie, as you can tell. But I'm gonna shut up now.
As always, thank you so much for watching.
Leave a comment letting us know your thoughts on these trailers, all of which will be linked below along with our store and social media pages. Until next time!